We might be live. It looks like we are live. Amazing.
We're live.
I think we're live, Sean.
Woohoo,
Amazing, amazing.
welcome.
If you are watching, people, this is our very, very first live session of Mystic Musings, rumblings of a modern day mystic. And so I am so delighted that this is happening. This was born on the cliffs near the Hermanus Beach, and we'll tell you more about this in a moment. But I'm going to dive straight into allow Sean. I'm Marilise de Villiers-Basson, by the way, but I'm going to allow Sean Caudry just to briefly tell us what this is about, and then we'll all both introduce ourselves.
Beautiful. Well, first of all, Marilise, it's just such a joy to be with you finally here, delivering this message and these messages going forward. And yeah, just so grateful for you in my life. And to all the listeners, hello, I am Sean Caudry. I am originally from South Africa. I'm now living in the United States. And really, this concept was really born in conversation with Marilise and some of my own musings over the last few years. Really, just in the context of what we're seeing happening around the world and have been witnessing around the world. I'm not going to go into a long story about myself, but just a little bit to give you some context. I spent multiple years as a corporate leader in the corporate and investment banking world in South Africa. And before leaving the shores for the United States mid last year. And during my time there, I was very involved in innovation. I was very involved in future orientated opportunities as we looked at the bank and had to assess what was happening in the bank. And I also have always been, for the last 25 years or so, very involved in understanding the quantum world, metaphysics, energy, consciousness, and how the field and the quantum world works, and how we as creators of our life can harness that and bring it into fruition. And so bridging these worlds of a deep spiritual embodiment, and then bridging these worlds of watching what's happening in the world, and particularly in the innovation space, and I'm talking the technology space, I and Marilise, and having these conversations, we really just felt that there is such a significant shift at the moment happening. Now, if you follow the work of Gert Leonard is a futurist. And I love the way he just really summarizes everything. So I'm going to give you a very brief summary, and that ties in beautifully why we are here today. And Gert has identified through his work why this time in history is so significantly different to previous historical eras where we have had significant change or transformation of some sort. And what he has surfaced, and which I completely agree with, and I'm going to add on that, is that there are 5 huge technological changes and advancements happening in society. But what makes this time different is that these are all converging all at once. And convergence, we know, means that everything is coming together at once to significantly reshape humanity. And I'm going to list those for you now. Suffice to say, historically, we would only ever have one major technological advancements, for example, the information age or the industrial age. And that was a significant one impact kind of technology, or one impact big change or transformation that would have a significant impact on the world. So the 5 transformations that he's referring to specifically, we're looking at robotics, we're looking at AI, we're looking at things like blockchain and Web3, we're looking at the whole climate change and significant changes in biotechnology, the health industry. I'm going to add a 6th significant change, and that is the rise of consciousness, the rise of frequency and energy, and the fast pace that adds onto this culmination of these converging technologies that fundamentally are reshaping humanity. And this is therefore such a fearful time for some and a terribly exciting time for others, because what this means is that as we bring in these converging technologies, and I talk about consciousness as a converging technology because it's a spiritual technology that fundamentally already reshape humanity. You would have seen it in AI. And so now what does this mean for us as we land here at this juncture in history where we are seeing, we would describe as so much chaos, so much change, so much significant flux, so much crisis as people grapple with, where do I go? How's this influencing my life? How's this changed my life? What am I seeing around the globe? And we're seeing these significant shifts and needing therefore to adjust. The importance, really, really important for modern day mystics, is this means for us that we really need to be stepping up, out, and forward. A modern day mystic, and I am going to hand over to Marlies to expand on this, but a modern day mystic, in very brief summary, is someone who is deeply spiritually orientated for a long period of time. You have had a spiritual orientation. Your life has set you up for spiritual orientation due to difficulties or challenges. We are going to expand into this. And at some point, this resulted in you losing your voice, losing visibility for whatever reasons. You kind of became small, you disappeared, but you're highly capable. You've got significant opportunity to lead, and you are being called forward quite significantly to contribute during this time to bring forward this kind of new order, this new earth, this new era of leadership, of bringing into fruition a different order in the world. And importantly, your voice, your message, who you are, is being strongly called forward. And I'm going to delve more into that in a bit, to come forward and show yourself and express your message and express visibly what you are here to bring into the world. Marlies, I've kind of said a bit of context, but let's have you add on the concept of the modern day mystic.
I absolutely love that. And I love what you've presenced for us around you are the creator of your life. I think so many of us, our lives are happening, whether we are intentional about it, whether we're conscious about it or not, so why not get conscious and get into the driver's seat of your life? And I think that also comes with, as you say, that stepping into the unknown, being really brave, being really courageous, because we do discover some very interesting things about ourselves in the process. And I think that's what makes me so excited about this, is because, the more you lean into this curriculum and the more you sort of find out things about yourself, I mean, sometimes it's some really deep, and we call those kind of core wounds, deep core wounds that we have to face and have to work through. And that's really where I think the coming together that you describe, this, I love what you're saying, this about this sort of spiritual technology and the fact, did you say spiritual technology? Did I get that term correct?
Yeah, yes, spiritual technology. Yes.
Everybody, this is live, and Marlies is learning as she goes. Sean has a tendency to blow our minds and our hearts wide open. So it's very much, a conversation, as we said, and really wanted to invite you all into the conversation. And it was so amazing for me. So I'll just jump in for a moment. Sean and I met at the beginning of last year, at the beginning of 2023, as I was navigating a big move back to South Africa after 18 years in England. And then Sean was kind of like, the moment I thought, I can't wait to meet Sean. She's in South Africa, she lives in South Africa, and we were introduced through Journeys to Inspire, which is hosted by CISO Alliances. And shout out to Lee, who's the founder of that community. And ultimately the person who connected us. But really, when the first time Sean and I had a conversation, we actually left each other voice notes on WhatsApp. And I was listening to this story. I was listening to Sean's story, and she's sharing a little bit about herself. And I'm like, her story is my story. How is this possible? Obviously, it's different stories, but they had the same energetic frequency. And that's what Sean means when she sort of sort of position the whole, like, we've gone through tough things, you've had to navigate tough things. And so, I mean, just a beautiful kind of coming together. And then the next thing I know, Sean is off to the US. And it would be another year and a half before we actually get to meet in person. And we were both in Hermanus, which is a beautiful coastal town here in South Africa. We both have parents who live in the area. And so she was here for her first South Africa visit very recently after moving to the US. And then this was born. You know, we were literally going on a walk. There's a beautiful cliff path in Hermanus. It's called like Full Clip Beach, and it's got these like beautiful cliff paths for kilometers. And we went on this walk, and I'm so happy and so grateful, Sean, that we've come together in this beautiful space now to really talk about something which I think has been hidden for way too long. The time is perfect now to talk about it and to normalize. I think it's about normalizing the conversation about being spiritual and being proud about being spiritual and stepping forwards, not just for yourself, but for the greater good. And I think that's the bit that really excites me. As you say, you've got this convergence, you know, like myself working in the cybersecurity space, seeing the blockchain, seeing the AI, seeing the technological advancements, and on top of that, the prolific increase in cybercrime, and just thinking, oh my goodness, you know, we do need this new spiritual technology. We need people, we need consciousness to come to the fore. So hugely exciting for me as well.
Thank you, Marlies. I just want to build on a couple of concepts that you've introduced there, and with this convergence and the rise in these converging practical technologies that we understand, AI, blockchain, Web3, etc. Why do I say it's so necessary to really step into this place of a deep embodiment? And Marlies is saying there, really owning and giving ourselves permission to own our spiritual orientation. In fact, not just own it, but bring it into our daily practice and integration and embodiment into our daily lives. Now, this is important because when we refer to spiritual technology, the skill of the future, there are many skills of the future, but a skill of the future that I strongly believe is not being spoken about, and which we are presencing here and are driving strongly, is the skill of being able to create and manifest your life. Marlies alluded to it, and I alluded to the quantum, the field, and understanding how to harness this power that truly resides in us, that is our birthright, that is given to us. And so when I talk about power, I'm talking about this godly power, this divine power, that we are energy and frequency, and we are fingerprints of the divine, and our souls are fingerprints of the divine, and therefore we already inherently are embodied with this incredible creator manifestation ability that has the capacity to move mountains. I personally have shifted so many things in my life. I look different. So from a body physical, you know, what you see, I physically look different. My face has transformed, my physical structure has transformed. This is all through harnessing that power, creating and manifesting my life. I have shifted completely into a different wealth, money, manifestation ability, from debt to wealth. I went from personal training into a corporate and illustrious corporate career, now to running a successful global business, entrepreneurial business, as well as technology business, all created. Me landing in America, created, manifested. These are just some of the examples of why I say tapping into your spiritual technologies, such as our ability to create and manifest, tapping into that power that resides within us, harnessing it. I'm not talking about controlling and manipulating in the 3D fashion. I'm talking around a power that can be harnessed and cultivated and used to shape the world in a completely enhanced, evolved, uplifted. Let's keep the things that are working, but let's reshape the things that are not. And let's participate in cultivating, as I say, the skill of the future to be able to harness our power and then proactively create our lives. And my business is largely centered around that, largely centered around blending and merging business mastery with the energetics, with the metaphysical components, to really optimize impact, to optimize wealth, to impact one's ability to have greater visibility, to bring about change and bring forward deeper messages. And that being said, let's just quickly dive into and delve into a little bit of our stories as to how we arrive as what we have termed a modern day mystic. So Marilise, do you want to delve into a little bit of your story, and then like just helping people understand how they then know they're in the right place, and then we can swing it back a bit of tennis, so we can go into a little bit of my story, and also if you want to add on anything I've said.
Yeah, and I think this is really where, our souls come to this earth, with a I believe, anyway, with a sort of a mission, a really deep, authentic purpose. And I arrived, and I truly deeply believe, and this is evolving, but I truly deeply believe that I was brought here to alleviate suffering from abuse. And so over many years, I have had experiences with sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and actually, most importantly, the inner bully, so the self-abuse. And so the examples, and I won't necessarily go into much detail, but pretty much, I think the moment for me where I had the first very profound message, where I really tapped into this higher power, was at the age of 12, when I got a very, very clear message to go to his house now. And this was the day I basically went to save my sister from the hands of the guy who sexually abused us, and actually stopped the abuse, because I told my parents and it all came out. And it was just one of those really profound moments in my life, not one that I ever thought I'll talk about. But then fast forward, almost 38 years later, no, not quite that long, 28 years later, I found myself then in a very toxic work situation, being bullied by my boss. And, drawing all these parallels with my journey of healing and self-reflection, drawing all these parallels between the different types of abuse, and actually how my self-abuse, how the emotional abuse, the verbal abuse, the sexual abuse actually all culminated in the same, like, real toxic inner conversation that I was having with myself, and the limiting beliefs that stemmed from that. And so me stepping out about 7 years ago, also to run my own business, accidentally so, becoming an entrepreneur, but really stepping out and getting into the driver's seat of my life, and recognizing that I am the creator, and also recognizing this inner power that we have to shape our destiny, to create our destiny. And so I think, Sean, this whole conversation about also, and then we can come back to that as soon as you've shared your story, but I would love to talk a little bit more about the healing journeys as well, and particularly about the core wounds. But let's hear about your story first.
Yeah, so as a person who is, as I say, deeply spiritually embodied, and have been on this journey for multiple years, some 25 years ago, I found myself, like, as I say, now I live in a life where I get to travel a lot to different places, and amazing places. Currently in the States, I'm here in the States with my wife, Dana. And like I say, I just find myself in a deeply, let's say, a happy and fulfilled place. That doesn't mean I'm not without challenge and struggle, because that's, or rather challenge, because that's not the idea. It's not the idea to escape and think I can live in this utopia world. No, I have contribution in terms of solving big world problems, and bringing, especially deeply, deeply passionate about bringing people online with their power, harnessing, cultivating it. I want every human, every woman, every man, every daughter, son. I want people harnessing this power, and living a life that truly, truly they are capable of stepping into, that demonstrates their uniqueness and unique power, and unique both spiritual and human gifts, and bringing that forward to shape the world. So that's kind of like my mission, very summarized. But how do I arrive there? Because it's certainly, my life certainly did not always reflect who I am now. I found myself at a time, as I said, probably when I was about 30. I'm 51 now. At a significant downturn. I would say chaos and mess would be a great way to describe it. I would say, I was a binge drinker. I was addicted to slimming tonics, and had just felt horribly in myself, felt so much shame and so much humiliation about who I was as a human being, and really these mechanisms to escape from drinking to binge drinking to feeling horrible about my body and wanting to get it looking decent stemmed from a myself, knowing that I was gay at a very young age, 12, 13. We're talking some 30 years ago in South Africa. The messaging, both from family, and I love them to bits, it was just very difficult for them to really conceptualize, their daughter being gay in a time where society-wise we were just so discriminated against. One could be put in jail. Globally, it was not accepted, and so I received a lot of negative messaging, a lot of fear, really, from my family, around potentially being gay and what this would mean for the family. And it was just, I just carried so much shame from such a young age, but importantly, made the decision at about the age of 20 or 21, some 30 years ago, to come out and speak my truth, to own my truth, to stand in the authenticity of who I was. And like my release, knowing from a young age that this was going to take a huge amount of courage and bravery to stand out. Already I was standing out. I was highly capable on the sports field as a young kid. I was playing professional squash. I was playing amongst women, much higher age groups, 10 years. Like I was 13, I was playing in women's squash. I was playing men's league. I was standing out, like received my white blazer at school, just always standing out, highly capable. Now, this is important because Minnie, just like Maralise, who was head girl and leader in her younger years and highly capable, many modern day mystics, one of some of the characteristics is you were just highly capable as a kid. You were beyond your years, whether this was in drama, whether this was academics, this was on the sports field, this was physically, and it made you stand out amongst your peers. And this already started to make it difficult. So, being so highly capable on the sports field and then standing out in terms of being gay. At the time, these things kind of took my power. I became small. I started to hide my heart. Despite coming out to my parents, I started to hide my heart. And again, this is another classic kind of indicator, were you highly capable, highly dynamic, standing out, but life experiences set you up that somehow you withdrew into yourself. You started to play small. You started to hide. You started to disappear. You were present but vacant as such, or you were kind of physically here but vacant internally. Successful, highly successful. I was a world squash player. I was playing on the world circuit, getting to the top 23 in the world. Always the top in my country, for playing for South Africa, had highly successful personal training gyms, outside world, successful, internal world, messy. And so, that led to me trying to escape and trying to just I felt so unworthy. Numerous incidences thereafter continued to kind of, I would say, hijack my power. Or so I thought it hijacked my power, but actually I continued to, as I say, step into my truth, step into my authenticity, and continued this journey of reclaiming my power. And so at 30, 32, I really got to a point where, at a low point, coming out of a breakup and deciding that, hey, there is more to be. I'm being called forward into my mission. I'm being called forward into my purpose. Who I am now is not who I want to be. And where I find myself, I want to be whole inside. I want to be fulfilled inside. And so this journey unfolded, my release, of me calling back my power quite significantly and really just building on that authentic journey and truth speaking journey I'd already started at the age of 21, but a far healthier, far more fulfilled, and coming into complete alignment with truth. And that journey led me into the quantum world, into the quantum realms, the Joe Dispenzas, the Greg Bradens, the Michael Singers, and deep diving into shifting and transforming and learning that I was the creator of my life and could shift and transform my life. And as I say, I significantly turned just about every single aspect of my life. And what it showed me was that as the creator of my life, I had created those situations. And for many of you, I want you to think about it like this. whether that's abuse or whether it's you coming out as, being gay, or whatever it is that your curriculum, your tonic, your, let's say, illness. You might also be suffering with a physical illness right now, but whatever that was, that is part of your curriculum to actually wake you up. That is part of your heart creating this magnetic field to bring you situations to grow your strength, to actually grow your spiritual muscle, to bring you into more union and bring you on the journey back home, because the modern day mystic is about a journey back home. I don't want to go into too much about that because I've shared my story, and let's go back to my release, and she can pick up then from here.
When you talk about the journey back home, I cannot help but think about my sister's little girl, Emma, who's just a year and a half now, and just watching a small child knowing exactly what they want, being so present and being so in the moment, and thinking, oh my gosh, we're born absolutely perfect, knowing exactly what we want, and then we spend 20, 30, 40, 50 years just taking steps away from our true self, and I think for me, these young kids and these babies in particular are always a really powerful reminder of, being who you are, being true to who you are, and really, it's about the authentic self. And I mean, I can't believe it, Sean. We're almost on half an hour, so we said we'll stick to half an hour for these sessions. We're actually going to go live every week, same time, same place. And so we'd love for you to join us and to join in the conversation. I wanted to talk a little bit more about healing and, the same way we have presence with you, the concept of you are the creator of your life. I think that the thing that goes hand in hand with that is kind of the forward-looking piece, creating, but also letting go of the old wounds and healing the old wounds and letting go of the past, I should say. So I think next week we'll dive a little bit deeper into the concept of healing. And I hope that you will join us. So as I said, we are going to really, really dive deep into these topics, and please let us know if there's anything you would love to hear from us or what would love us to discuss. We'll obviously think about topical issues as they arise in the world. Sean mentioned earlier the whole Donald Trump thing that recently happened. And so, that is an example of topical issues that we might bring into the conversation, that we will bring into the conversation. So, so hope to see you all next week.
Yeah.
Same time, same
Beautiful.
place.
Great.
Sean, any final thoughts to share before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I think just for our viewers, and thank you so much for joining, but for you to consider before next week. So some questions. And I do have a questionnaire I'm busy cultivating. How do you know you're modern day mystic? And maybe just some of the thought processes. I mentioned a couple already, but some of the questions like that you could think about for yourself would be like, were you someone who was highly capable at a young age, stood out? Was there something about you that further made you stand out, that also at the same time made it difficult for your peers to kind of where do you fit and how do they engage with you? Were you that person who was on the playing field and all through your schooling career, like, and even into your adulthood, feeling like you just don't fit, like there's just something different about you and you can't quite pinpoint what that different is, but you just feel there's something different about you? Are you a person who really kind of struggles with imposter syndrome? And imposter syndrome presents itself in a couple of ways. Number one is like, just can't quite find your tribe in terms of where your sense of belonging is and people who just get you. So this seeking out, like, no one gets me. And then finally you find these people who get you and you're like, oh my God, you just get me. And that's beautiful. But at the same time, also feeling like being highly capable, but you've got this strong underminer archetype, the self-doubt, the inadequacy, the second-guessing. I call it the underminer, who even though you're highly capable, you kind of step into these spaces and find yourself playing small, or you find yourself second-guessing that, thinking, wow, should I actually be in these successful positions? Because people might think I'm a fraud, and can I actually deliver? You can often find yourselves, were you a person who found yourselves in difficult in relationships attracting relationships that were either dominating, could be narcissistic, and having some experiences of these, the nature of these relationships, and why, because you are so filled with light, and almost like then attracting another powerful human in an intimate relationship, that almost like you, because of your need to belong and wanting to belong, just finding yourself being somewhat submissive and finding this confusing, because actually you're quite an independent, quite a go-getter, but yet you find yourself in these curious relationships. Your experiences that almost like took your power away. Do you feel at times that you do hide your power? You sit on it. You don't bring it fully forward, and a lot of this driven by a fear of rejection. And this is where we start going into. And I'm positioning these things because, as Marily says, going into next week, let's have a look at the healing journey, because in particular, modern day mystic is someone who has experienced significant rejection or abandonment. Now, importantly, because of who they are, because of their capability. And
Yes.
for example, I experienced it because of being gay. And so your avoidance strategies then to just belong, see you kind of acquiescing, seeing you, okay, well, let me not be so powerful in case I get rejected. And so some of these clues, and a feeling, particularly at the moment, and I'll leave you with this, but particularly at the moment, being called into more. You might be able to put your finger on it, but you could find yourself in a space now where you are just feeling this, literally this call, this pull forward to something more, and particularly asking you to get more visible, asking you to cultivate this message, to actually express and almost overcome these core wounds that Marelise spoke to. We're going to pick up on this next week because it's very, very pertinent, but needing to almost come through these core wounds into visibility and really having a bigger impact into the world with a bigger message. So I'll leave you with some of those tweaks and thought processes to consider for yourself. And importantly, all of this is you have a very deep spiritual orientation practice. You go to retreats, you're listening to conversations like this, it's resonating. So that also comes to the fore. Maybe just a final close out for me is like, we would love to hear from you, as Marily said. Reach out to us on our various social media handles. Both of us run beautiful programs. We'll delve more into our businesses next week. I'm running an Abundant Wisdom program that is kicking off end of July. Would love to have anyone who's curious about it reach out to me. Marelise does amazing, incredible work with her Raw. She has a TEDx talk. Raw, she's busy in the process of bringing to fruition Soar. I don't want to steal her thunder, but needless to say, reach out to her, see her offerings. We want to support you. We are going to bring about change and transformation in the world. We're bringing around a new order, a new world. We are excited about it. We want to support as many of you as possible. We know the ins and outs of modern day mysticism as far as we are today, and look forward to sharing the journey with you.
Thank you. And just one final thing, please subscribe to our channel. This channel is brand new. We need some followers, we need some subscribers, and it would really mean the world to us if you follow us, if you subscribe to our channel. And then you'll also get an automatic notification next week when we go live. So please don't forget to subscribe. Love you all lots, and thank you, Sean.
Love you so much. Thank you, Marelise.
Take care.
Beautiful. See you all next week. Bye.